Hello everyone, welcome to the Feathers Creation. This is a sewing channel on YouTube where sewing illustrations and tutorials are done. Please, if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and click on the notification bell so that you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, today's tutorial is going to be a simple one as usual, and it's going to be on how to cut an exaggerated 720-degree flare. What does a 720-degree flare mean? It simply refers to two 360-degree circles in one. And what does the exaggeration mean? It means making your 720-degree flares fuller, bigger than usual. You understand? And that is simply because maybe you want to provide for pleats, you want to gather it, you understand? Now, today's tutorial is just going to be on how to make an exaggerated 720-degree flare. And I have made the provision by folding this fabric. It's for a peplum, for a blouse. So, see, I folded my fabric using the accurate measurements. As you can see, it's neatly folded and ironed out together. So, okay, so folded out as a square. Now, the measurements you need in this case are your circumference. In this case, it's going to be that of the waist and the length of the blouse. The length of the blouse is just going to be needed for subtraction. That is, you are going to subtract your half-cut top from the actual length of the blouse, then use the remaining for the peplum. And don't forget to add seam allowance. That is, it depends on how you intend to finish it, but definitely you have to add seam allowance to the peplum. In this case, I'm going to line it. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch seam allowance to the base, the edge of the peplum, for turning the lining in. Now, in a case where you have 30 inches waist circumference and you want to exaggerate your 720-degree flare, don't forget that I have folded this fabric. I have folded it to cater for 2 circles. This is going to cater for 2 circles. Look at it. So it is actually, when you count it, you are going to have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I'm going to measure from this edge. Please look at this edge. I'm measuring from this edge, not this edge. Now, 30 inches is the waist circumference. I want to make it wider, fuller than necessary to accommodate pleats. So, when cutting your 720 degrees, you need to divide that waist circumference by 2 before adding allowance for zip and joining. Don't forget that you are going to join the 2 together. You are going to join the 2 pieces together. Now, in this case, because it is exaggerated, I might not likely follow all the necessary measurements. The 30 inches is fixed. Fine. The length of the peplum is fixed. The waist circumference in this case is not fixed. I'm the one who is going to determine how wide this peplum is going to be and then pleat it to get the actual waist circumference I need. So that's why I said it's not really fixed. So now I have this cloth, this fabric folded, let's say 14 inches. That's the length and breadth, 14 inches unfold. It is to cater for 2 circles. Please don't forget that. Now, I want my peplum, I don't want it to be longer than 9 inches. I've included 1/2 inch seam allowance to that 9 inches. So if I have 14 minus 9, that is 5 inches extra. So all I'll do is use the 5 inches. I'll use that 5 inches for my radius. I'll measure out. Measure it out using 5 inches to get a very full flare. I won't go through the regular route of the 15, that's divide your waist by, no, I'm not going to do that. Even if you divide your waist by 15, you can as well multiply it by 2. But I want something that will be that will be more than that. That will give me more than this. I don't want to use 4.77. So what I'll do is this. I'll simply say, instead of using that value in the book, I'll just come here, because I know that to get that 720-degree flare, I would have to divide my cycle by 2, add at least 3 inches to each of those circles. That's how I cut mine. I'll add at least 3 inches to each of the circles to provide for the zip and seam allowance. At least 3 inches. That's what I'll add, because I don't like having shortfall after cutting. Now, if that were to be the case, it will simply be 15 inches. If that were to be the case, I'll simply do this. Look at it. If I were to use the regular, I would just say 30 divided by 2, 15. That's to give me 1 circle. All I do is add 3 to it. That's, I have 18. And I'll go ahead to divide that 18 by 6.23. Look at it. 18. And I'll have 2.86. So afterwards, I may decide not to use 2.86. You understand? It all depends on, because I don't like having shortage. I don't like having any shortfall. Neither do I like having excess that would waste the fabric. So ordinarily, if I were to go by this, I would just use a radius of 2.2. I'll use 2.28. But because I want it extra full, I'm using 5. And as you can see 2.86 times 2 is more than 5. Yes, it's more than 5. But I'm going to use 5 here. I'm going to use 5 because that's the fabric. That's what that's how big the fabric is. I can't go beyond that. I don't want the peplum to be short. So I'll use 5 to get that width. So this is just it. Now I'll go ahead from this edge. Don't forget that my peplum is 9 inches. So I'm coming down to 14 inches. Just check for accuracy. Don't be too sure. Don't think you are too, anybody can make mistakes. So I always advise that before you cut your peplum, that's especially if it's something of this nature, of if it's a 720-degree peplum without excess pleats, just make sure you measure whatever you get after using the value of your radius. Please measure before you cut. What I mean is this. This is not the line you are going to cut. You are going to come up by half an inch to cater for seam. You understand? So if you are cutting a 720-degree flare, just do yourself the favor of measuring this out first. What do you understand? Measure this out first. Measure this out. What do I have? You understand? Before you cut it out. Why? It's simply because you can get an idea of how wide the flare will be by measuring here. You can get an idea of how wide that flare would be. So that is just it. So I'm going to connect the dots here. So, and then I'll go ahead to cut. By the time I cut this out, I'm going to have two different circles, two whole circles, which I'll join and then pleat. And don't forget that I have provided for zip. Since it's excess already, there's provision for the zip in it because it's excess. So it's pleat. Definitely I'll get my zip from it, allowance from this, unlike the regular one without any pleat. So look at it. This is what it's going to look like afterwards. Now, what I meant when I said before you look at it, because this is excessive, look at it. This is not your regular. You just, all you have to do, look at it. This is exactly 15 inches. That's if I open it up, I'm going to have 30 inches for each. 30 inches for each circle. And then I'll join at the center front, and then I'll make provision for zip from this as well. Now, because I have not cut out my lining piece, I don't want to tear this into threads, but I know, let me notch. I still have to cut out my center piece, but that can be done later. Now, this is what it's going to look like. I'll cut one out so that you can see the width. I'll just cut one out while I keep the other. I'll use the other to cut out the lining piece while I cut this out. Now, please look at it. And this is what you get. A very wide, exaggerated, as the name implies, an exaggerated flare. And it will fall. See? It will definitely fall because it's full, it's excessive. And by the time I join it to the, attach it to the peplum, I'll pleat it this way. You understand? I could either pleat it this way. See how full it is, even without stress. So that is just the beauty of that, of this peplum. Pleat it this way. See? Just to make it, to give it body fullness and bounce. So that is why I made mine wider. So the 720-degree here, I'll have to sew at this point. I'll join this, I'll attach this to the other peplum, and this would, I'll get an inch here for the zip. So thank you for watching and stay tuned. Please subscribe if you are new and click on the notification bell to get updated whenever I upload a new video. Thank you for watching.